A man is cooking in his kitchen when a black mist appears behind him. Look for it on the left side of your screen. The man has his back turned and does not seem to notice what's going on behind him. What's especially strange is how the black mist starts to back away from the door when the man heads into the other room. Once the homeowner is safely out of view, the mist turns very dark and quickly darts in front of the doorway. No clear explanation has ever been provided, though I'd like to hear yours. Whatever the thing is, it's never been recorded again since. This goosebump-inducing surveillance footage is from 2013. Prosecutors outline the sequence of events that unfolded after school that day. A school teacher entered the girls' bathroom, followed by this student, only to never appear again. The student is then seen in the surveillance footage calmly rolling the recycling bin along the hallway. When the teacher didn't return home that day, her father went to the school to look for her. At the trial, he said when the surveillance video was revealed to him, he was horrified watching her enter that bathroom. He said he just wanted to warn her not to enter. Though this video seems so innocent and just like any typical surveillance footage, the backstory behind this footage is enough to give anyone goosebumps. Makes me want to never enter a washroom alone again. This unnerving doorbell cam footage was taken somewhere in New Mexico. A random person walks up to a house in the middle of the night and just basically goes crazy without warning. They appear to have lost all sense of reason as they first yank on the doorbell cam and then start to scale the wall. It's unclear if they are really trying to gain access to the house itself or if they are just out of their minds and doing whatever spontaneously comes next. After a while, they come back into view and kind of wobble around. This next part sounds like they might have even fallen over, but I'm not exactly sure. Overall, the strange man seems more confused than necessarily looking to cause havoc, but I would still not want to encounter this potential maniac either way. Deep inside these tunnels lies something no one was meant to see. Published to YouTube in November of 2016, Connor Does Adventure explains, "We did not fake or plan any of this. We just started recording for a blog and this is what we found." Entering deep into a watery tunnel, the boys start to hear something.
No.
I can't.
They all freak each other out and start running towards an exit. At first you think they were just scared and adrenaline caught up with them, but it turns out someone or something was in fact chasing them. Once out in the sunlight, they stand at the entrance before heading into the tunnel a short ways again. A strange squealing sound can be heard, and as the camera focuses in, a figure is clearly seen, although it's unlike any creature you'd ever seen before. It's gray-skinned and alien-like, and it's marching towards them with a determined air. Any ideas what this is? Is it a madman? Or is it a watery tunnel creature? Most importantly, is this thing harmless, or should they be running immediately? Don't wait around to find out. This video is all the more reason not to work from home. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Big Bo Unjoyed explains that a friend sent him this clip after he kept hearing things in the middle of the night. He started taking video to catch some evidence of the noise's source. In the video, the friend walks out into the hallway from his bedroom. As he nears his office, something very clearly moves out of view, but it's not clear what that something is. A Redditor who goes by the username Captain Fatbelly recommends viewers to turn up the brightness on the video. He writes, "It definitely looks like a person. I worry about the chance there might actually be somebody lurking around in your friend's house." Other Redditors agree that it looks like a person, while Scary Ninja Gamer says, "Your friend is screwed." We'd have to agree. When ghosts just won't leave you alone, what more can you do but investigate? Published to YouTube by Ghosts of Carmel, Maine. In December of 2017, this 4-part paranormal series has it all. In the first video, the homeowner explains that the ghosts in his home just won't leave him be. He welcomes the good ghosts to stay, but the activity has skyrocketed.
Not the one that's saying it. Hello?
Is anybody in here?
He says they're constantly saying his name. In the first video, while running the spirit box, the spirit tells him, "It's me." When he asks who's in here, the spirit says, "Just you, Kent." The spirit also tells him, "It's my house, I need help. Rachel's in trouble." All throughout the clip, he hears other EVPs and disembodied voices, even without using the spirit box. In parts 2, 3, and 4, as the investigation continues, he and his wife regularly hear disembodied voices throughout the home. Often the voice cusses, tells Kent to get out of there, asks for help, or tells him to be careful. When he's in the room with what he calls the witch's window, the spirit is even more vocal. It says, "We're not done. They're all weak." Kent also sees faces in the porch window, which he believes are spirits. After listening to all this, it's not a stretch to think that something bad happened in this house. And could that be what is causing the paranormal events that are happening in this house? It's just another ordinary night until a number of strange events happen just outside of someone's front door. A bizarre whooshing noise is followed by blinking lights and the sound of something clicking off camera. I thought it was a turn signal, but the description of this video says that this was actually the sound of lights clicking on and off. Nothing happens for a while, and then the unidentifiable sound briefly returns. Some people have pointed out that this could have been a heavily compressed video of cars passing by. I agree that this is a possibility, but that still doesn't explain the lights turning on and off or the clicking noise. I'd like to hear your best guess as to what this residential disturbance could be. Paranormal, unknown flying device, or just some late night street traffic. October of 2017 is when a Canadian YouTuber named Moosey started to experience supernatural problems in his home that were far from normal. Things like spirit sightings and hearing voices. Something is in his house with him, something he can't see and wants gone. One afternoon, Moosey is playing a PS4 game with his brother when the television starts acting up in a way that's been happening far too often lately.
And it's really weird, like, he's been telling me it's been happening all day.
Somebody could have simply turned it off with a remote. His brother Joe isn't holding the remote, but maybe Moosey is. I don't think it was either one of them though, because it looks like somebody unplugged the television, even though they were both across the room.
Guys, what the f? This is what I'm saying. Disconnected again. What's going on?
And when you look again at 4 minutes and 23 seconds, you might be able to see the faintest orb go by his wrist. Since this was made in October, I was thinking maybe this was a Halloween video or something like that, but Moosey's paranormal problems continued well into November. That's when it moved into his room. He claims he can no longer sleep because it feels as if something is watching over him.
Guys, I don't know what's going on. There's just something preventing me.
At 1 minute and 30 seconds, there are bags under his eyes that were not visible in the previous video from a week ago, so I see no reason not to believe what he says.
I was tired. I said, yeah, you can see bags under my eyes because I get really tired at my house.
After days of no sleep, he now has a plan to cleanse the room. Moosey blends a special root with various household ingredients to make a powdery substance that is believed to keep spirits away. Interestingly enough, the sound on his camera cuts out and this orb appears just outside of his room, so perhaps there is some value in what he's about to do after all. I think it's interesting how the sound cuts off again here, almost like the spirits don't want to hear him finish what he has to say.
Demons, be gone.
Or it could have just been a technical problem uploading the video to YouTube. Anyway, after completing the exorcism, he waits until 3 a.m. before declaring everything is okay. He didn't wait long enough though. This is what happens 5 minutes after 3 a.m.
Free me from all this. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Did you guys hear that?
I really wish he would have thrown open the door here, so we could have seen for ourselves what was on the other side. The fact that he waits for almost a full minute makes me wonder if this really was his nerves betraying him, or just stalling to give his friends time to get off camera. Nothing is in the other room, but if he wanted to prove beyond a doubt that his house was haunted, he should have swallowed his fear and opened the door a bit sooner. Easier said than done, I guess. Moosey did eventually move 2 years later. He and Hype Mike are giving a tour of their new house when it becomes apparent that his paranormal troubles are far from over.
It's
Jesse, Mike.
Nick. Whoa!
The knocking comes from behind him, yet no one is at the door. However, in the mirror stands a small hooded figure, or maybe it's just the top of Hype Mike's hat. When they check the camera, the picture becomes garbled by what I suspect is paranormal energy from the same ghost as before. It's found their new address and it wants in. At 8 minutes and 27 seconds, they catch a glimpse of someone running up the stairs. Then they see it in a different monitor right outside of their door before the screen goes white. And that's when what happens in Moosey's old house at 3 a.m. repeats itself. The door somehow locks even though they're on the side with a lock on it. So that's either paranormal or just an oversight in their skit, but I was kind of let down when they show it. I'm sorry, but I absolutely refuse to believe that this person in an all black spandex outfit is a ghost. So I'm not exactly buying this one, but it doesn't mean that the videos in his old house weren't real, or that this wasn't a crazy fan who got their address. If you've ever been down a mine shaft, you know how eerie it can be. So imagine hearing these sounds while you're down there. YouTuber Retro Electroville published this footage in June of 2011 of a mine shaft in Del Sur, California, in the Mine Canyon area, writing, "We come across an open shaft with creepy sounds coming from it." Creepy is right.
I think it's on the right.
The sound is a strange hissing noise that seems to be coming from deeper within the shaft. Of course, whatever is making the creepy hiss is out of view, so we can only guess as to what the source might be. Is it a phantom? A pile of snakes? Despite knowing the true source, the sound still gives us goosebumps. Sometimes anger comes in the form of a crazy woman guarding her property. For YouTuber Jack Z in May of 2018, this was the case. Jack explains that he and his friends were riding along a trail they'd never explored. It led to a stranger's property, but it wasn't clear that they were on private property, as there weren't signs or fences around it. And in the video, it really doesn't appear private. It looks like a forest, a free-for-all. According to Jack, as they were heading out, a woman came out of nowhere and started confronting them.
I'm sorry, get off!
I'm sick and tired of you bull
This is the first
on my
time
property.
here!
Bull! You guys are here all the time
No, it's
scaring
not
my horses.
Grabbing hold of Jack's backpack to throw him off balance, which led him to busting his brake on a downed tree that was in front of him. As he climbs out from under his bike, she can be heard screaming at his friends as well. She then gets in his face, saying that him and his friends are there every weekend on her private property, scaring her horses. Jack writes, "Moral of the story is to be careful of what trails you choose to follow." It seems to me that this chilling event was just one big misunderstanding, and I hope this woman doesn't choose to act this way in similar future situations. Afraid of heights? Look away or this one might get you. The video illustrates the day-to-day of those who climb tall towers to work on the antennas and transmission lines of the world's tallest skyscrapers. Imagine starting out your workday with a fierce climb. The clip, from the tower climber's point of view, shows the climb up a 1,768-foot tower, and it's a rough one. Don't worry, there's an elevator up to the 1,600-foot point. Still, the rest of the upward ascent is nothing short of daunting. 168 feet of climbing up a ladder, carrying a 30-pound tool bag, which hangs via a rope below you. With this frightening view all around, no thanks. At the top of the tower, the climber is no longer surrounded by the metal structure. Now he's free climbing up small rungs with nothing surrounding him, should he lose his footing. I suppose this is what gives us goosebumps with these types of clips. With one wrong step, one wrong move, a stroke of bad luck, or the wrath of nature, the climber is moments away from a long fall. Being a pilot can seem like a glamorous job, but sometimes it's downright terrifying. YouTuber DonMCL1 published this video in October of 2006. The clip shows a jet taking off from a runway, but soon sirens start sounding off, while the aircraft's nose points skyward.
T6NL. T6NL.
Lots of talk back and forth over the radio is indecipherable. The nose then pans sideways, clearly indicating the aircraft is out of control. Over the radio, you can hear someone mention engine failure.
T6NL.
I'm ready. Okay.
Right before someone says eject, eject, eject as the nose of the plane turns downward.
Eject. Liking at 2, copy your brake after the north.
Shortly after, the plane nosedives and the footage scrambles. While the description of this video doesn't reveal much about the incident, Kiwi Jet Pilot in the comments section appears to be quite knowledgeable about what happened here. First off, he clears up the description of the plane, saying it's not an F-16 but a Canadian-flown British-built BAE Hawk. He states that this occurred in May of 2004 in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, during a UK Royal Air Force crew training mission, but this video shows they survived by the skin of their teeth, a little too close for comfort. Walking down an empty hallway can sometimes send shivers all over your body, especially when the hallway looks like this. Spurgburglar from Washington in the US uploaded this spooky video in 2016. He says that his flat is upstairs, and he makes his way through this hallway in the middle of the night 6 days a week. The hallway in and of itself is spooky. The sound on top of it is nothing short of ominous. The noise certainly is thumping and rhythmic like music, but it's unclear what it is or where it's coming from. It gets louder as the uploader approaches the end of the hallway and the beginning of a new one. A new sound enters into the mix, like a heart pounding. While the thumping declines, the heart pounding remains. Then you hear some sort of haunting music enter in faintly, before it escalates the closer he gets to the elevator. The video of the hallway also distorts a bit. Your heart races as you anticipate a jump scare from something unknown, but when he pushes the elevator button, the audio disappears. What could this possibly be? I don't know if I want to know. Is that a ghost in the window? Posted to TikTok by Trina M. Ward in the video. Trina says she's at the Martin house and that nobody lives here. It's supposedly haunted. According to Trina, a man went crazy in the home and took the lives of his whole family. Some say they've seen the children's ghosts in the home. Trina was driving by randomly when she saw this in the window. The figure on the second floor looks like a child. Some notice a larger figure standing behind the child. Several in the comments warn that the child ghost is not what it may seem. Shay Zombie writes, "Children spirits don't stay on this plane. It's a demon trying to draw someone in. Don't be drawn, or you might become the next person this house draws in. Unless you're touring abandoned asylums or reputably haunted sites, you probably wouldn't expect to capture anything mysterious on camera, but this individual did just that." This video has been making the rounds all over the internet, and we tracked it down to its original source. Published to YouTube in January of 2019, JJPD Producciones writes, Mr. Luis Reyes was traveling to Nicaragua for the first time. He went on a tour of tourist areas of the country. Specifically to the Tezcapa viewpoint, he recorded the landscape, but did not expect to capture what you will see next. What you see looks like a giant crab insect or alien-like creature, maybe all three combined. The creature is standing on a rooftop, then it walks to the edge and jumps over to a courtyard, out of sight. While many congratulate the uploader on the special effects, some are willing to suspend their disbelief, but upon further investigation, it appears this channel specializes in special effects. So my explanation for this video is that while it's quite scary, it's most likely CGI. This footage comes from a convenience store in India after it was captured by an old security camera late one night. An orb glows with bright intensity as it glides around the empty store at random. The next day, a group of workers watch the tapes in amazement. I normally don't include orb videos because they tend to look all the same to me, but this video looks a little different. First, it seems to match the same grainy footage of the CCTV system very well. Second, the sides of the orb appear to be shimmering in a random pattern that would be hard to fake. If anyone can translate what they are saying in this video, then please let me know. Also, tell me if it sounds like they are legitimately surprised or just acting. Avery is almost 2 years old. He's happily babbling away in the kitchen when his mother starts to feel a strange presence. This has happened a few times before, so she decides to start recording. Normally, her child is very quiet, but every once in a while, he will become very active and start having a conversation with someone who neither of his parents could see.
Who are you talking to?
Avery's mother finds this behavior very perplexing, so she starts to ask him over and over who he is talking to. Finally, after the third or fourth time, she gets a sinister reply.
Who are you talking to?
Her child looks over his shoulder, almost as if someone is there. When he turns his back to her, a raspy voice says, "Ryan." Listen again with the sound up if you don't hear it. I guess this voice could be coming from Avery, but it sounds like it's coming from someplace much closer, almost right next to the camera. It almost sounds like a slightly different voice than Avery's. Maybe Ryan is a ghostly pal who is looking to make a new friend. I am looking for more information about this scary video because I could not find the brave ghost hunter who caught all of this paranormal evidence on camera. This house has a dangerous jinn inside, a spirit bent on scaring the ghost hunter away. The door seems too far away for him to be opening it with his foot. Later, a bucket on the floor mysteriously moves all by itself seconds later. And when he looks up, this shadow figure is caught in the light of his camera. And when he turns around, nothing is there, but the carpet flutters as if a stampede is coming through. I don't see how they are faking this part, so I am inclined to believe this might be real paranormal activity caught on tape. The Three Haunted Explorers is the name of a paranormal YouTube channel that doesn't need to go exploring very far to find something spooky. That's because a scary ghost is already haunting their room, or so they claim, and this is the best paranormal evidence they've caught on camera so far. They set up a night vision camera. Soon they've caught the ghost moving stuff like cabinet drawers. Part of the drawers aren't shown, so the ghost hunters might be moving it off camera. But just when I was starting to doubt whether this scary video was real, more objects begin moving on their own. On a table behind them, caught on camera, is the reflection of a possible ghost moving across the surface. They put everything back in place and wait. That's when the ghost knocks all of the objects over once again by moving a chair. The swivel chair continues to move on its own as if a ghost is pushing it. At 33 seconds, a mysterious shadow even walks in front of the camera. A ghost. The paranormal explorers would later say, although it could have belonged to them. Stuff keeps falling over by itself, which is creepy, but they could be crawling across the floor to fake the paranormal activity. I hope they make more creepy follow-up videos from a better angle to show us more of the room when it happens. In 2010, a man from South Jersey named Nick mysteriously went missing. His older brother Mark vanished shortly thereafter. Their small town was devastated by these back-to-back disappearances and feared the worst. There wasn't a shred of evidence for police to go off of, at least not until a few months later when one of Nick's high school acquaintances receives this mysterious post office package. Inside the package are memory cards and hard drives with hundreds of videos to analyze. Eerily enough, the return address was Nick's house, so either Nick sent this himself or someone else mailed it on his behalf well after his disappearance. Perhaps it was sent by whoever was responsible. A lot of the videos are typical teenage vlogging material you'd expect from 2010. Basic stuff like making a sandwich or watching TV. But on the other hand, there are at least 30 videos containing super creepy information relevant to his whereabouts, or should I say his possible remains. Let's retrace Nick's steps. On September 3rd, 2010, Nick goes to the notoriously haunted Pleasant Mills Cemetery in Batstow, Jersey to see what he can find. On the other side of an old bridge in the woods, he sees some 1800 burial markers and an old church that makes him feel creeped out. Though whatever he thinks he sees while standing on this bridge is what freaks him out the most. This is where voices are said to sometimes be heard on the water. Tell me if you see anything. I honestly can't say I see anything strange, but maybe something was there that didn't show up on camera. The video ends with him running back to his car looking very serious and scared, wide eyes and all, so he probably really did see something strange. He never wants to go back there again, but at sometimes the experience eats away at him until a week later on September 10th, when he goes back to settle his curiosity once and for all, this time with his friend Austin. Night has fallen by the time they arrive. There's not much activity by the old church, so they walk over to the river. They don't hear anything and aren't really that scared, so they challenge each other to sit in the darkness under the bridge. The very same bridge where Nick first saw something, mind you. And as soon as their lights go out, they make contact.
Do you hear that?
When they turn their lights on to see what's out there, they see this broad goblin-like face looking back at them, soon followed by a splash of water, like something jumping at them, or else reaching up from the depths below. Away they run and away it follows. I don't know what this thing is, but since they've disturbed its home twice now, it decides to return the favor. What you're about to witness happened on the very same night. Nick sees movement behind this curtain wall and thinks it has to be his older brother Mark. It certainly looks like someone's hands, and yet no one's there. Suddenly it grows very cold where he's standing, cold enough to see his own breath, which is odd considering it isn't cold enough to see his breath when he's outside looking for Mark. They really should have stopped going there, but on September 18th they try again. This time, after following these strange lights in the woods, they discover something they were never meant to have. This nondescript book has no title, but I want to know more about this strange binding. It looks like part of a protective ritual, or maybe even a curse upon whoever opens it without permission. Nick grabs it and they go get something to eat, and that's subsequently when they start getting followed even worse than ever before. By now, Nick and Austin have developed somewhat of an unhealthy obsession with the Pleasant Mill Cemetery. It scares them, but it also attracts them and they can't stop going. Maybe something there is enticing them to return. Something that wants its book back. And the more times they visit, the stronger its presence becomes at home.
What? Tired of this. Wait. What the?
When you look at the picture before it falls at 10 minutes and 28 seconds, I think it's a picture of Mark, the older brother who would soon disappear. On September 27th, Nick and Austin make a discovery that they seem to shrug off but I think is important. It's inside of an old house that they find not too far from the cemetery. The outside looks like it went ablaze a long time ago. Through a square hole in the floor, they spy an area that looks like it could have been a secret chamber when covered. They get a really bad feeling and don't want to go down, but Austin makes a simple observation that I think speaks volumes.
Oh, it smells. Alright, we're wasting time. We gotta go.
It could be mold, or it could be a body that hasn't been disturbed in quite some time. Things get really crazy after they discover the possible body. By November 2nd, Mark is gone and nobody knows where he went. Nick goes back to the cemetery to look for his brother, and this final recording is what he finds. A tall figure with an all-white face marches toward him, with a long tool in his hand. All I will say is that it looks like Nick sadly met the same fate as his brother. Him and two of his friends are going to explore a house that is legendarily haunted. According to local lore, this is a place where devil-worshipping members used to perform rituals, and the surrounding area has never been the same since. Beyond this information, all they know is that its general location is somewhere deep in the woods. They follow a trail and eventually come across a large abandoned house in the middle of the night. The three of them all get a strange feeling and instantly know that they are in the right spot. The door is open and they bravely march inside. Beyond a room filled with strange scrawlings, they find a dark room that stinks like something rotting. Dolls are hanging by their necks. Just when they are about to leave, they suddenly are approached by something that comes up from behind.
Did you hear that?
A strange and unsettling gurgling noise follows them as they run out of the house and into the open night air. Whether this was scripted or legitimate is anyone's guess, only they know for sure, but even still, they may be too shaken to talk about it. When a scary video isn't self-explanatory, it's time to break out some armchair detective work. But even if you're Sherlock or Enola Holmes, you'll have a tough time connecting the dots of this video. Published to YouTube in March of 2012, Ghosts Are Real 66 writes, "Been taking video of local cemeteries for a while and examining them from frame to frame. Found the image of what looks like a ghost of a young boy from around the early 1900s by the way he is dressed. The video was taken at Kinder Cemetery, established in 1902. While scanning some tombstones at a distance, a distinct flash is caught on camera. While zooming in, you can make out a figure, although you can't really distinguish its dress. YouTuber Mainly says that he's wearing suspenders and a white shirt, but that's up for interpretation. Some think it's a reflection in a car window, others are sure it's the paranormal, and I'm leaning towards the latter. What if your recently passed on friend returned for one last goodbye?" Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Chaos Magic explains that this incident occurred at the La Isla Shopping Center in Colombia. In the video, a security guard appears to be talking with someone standing in front of him, though there's nobody there. The Redditor writes, his partner, upon noticing what he observed in the monitoring room, immediately communicated with the guard. Partner, with whom you are in the corridor, he answers. With Daniel Quinn, he was cleaning the stairs, to which he replied, no brother, he passed away yesterday. According to the security guard, he had no idea that his friend had passed away the previous day. When he's alerted to it, the security guard jumps from his seat and can be seen looking around him in shock. Never fear, his friend just wanted to wish him a final farewell, although there's no way to tell if this is real or fake for sure. My guess is that it is paranormal due to the backstory mentioned, and because everything that is caught on camera does not look CGI. Some videos on the internet can haunt you. February 20th, 2003, Station Nightclub, a Great White Concert. The headliner takes the stage seconds after they open with their Billboard hit Desert Moon. Pyrotechnics are launched by the tour manager as part of the spectacle. Little does he know that the acoustic foam located in the ceilings and walls around the stage will soon go ablaze. Most initially believed it was part of the show, but soon the crowd began to understand that this was not a controlled incident. The band's lead vocalist, Jack Russell, said into the microphone, "Wow, that's not good." Before some of the band and their entourage fled the stage via the west exit, a stampede towards the main exit resulted in a bottleneck and trampling. Cameraman Brian Butler for WPRI TV of Providence was there that night filming for a piece on nightclub safety. Some of his footage was released to national news stations. If you're wondering if you can stomach the footage, take notes from Redditor Buffalady87, who writes, the worst part is in the beginning there's so much screaming, then as people are running outside you realize it's actually pretty quiet, not because people calm down, but because you are actually listening to the people still inside. Warning to young explorers, don't enter abandoned malls at night. Jaskinho published this footage in September of 2018, illustrating exactly why. Explaining that the mall in question is Charlestown Outlet Mall in the US, he writes, this is an older video I thought I'd drop for you guys. The mall closed for good over 30 years ago, and I did record a video here before, but there was talk about the basement level, so we went in. While the first 9 minutes reveal your typical exploring of the abandoned mall, 9 minutes in, one of the crew peers into a dark room beyond, and that's when he hightails it out of there, followed closely by the rest.
Close the door, close the door, close the door, close the door. No, go. No time, go.
One of the bunch says they were running for nearly 5 minutes. According to the one who first ran, he saw someone in the room beyond. Although the video didn't capture the figure, we can only imagine what this group came across. And with that in mind, I think they made the right choice getting out of there ASAP. Here's another video from the mysterious Menjur Hotel. A woman is bored and giving a brief tour of her room when suddenly a paranormal presence makes itself known.
Hello? Mike?
She waits for a tense moment, hoping that her boyfriend Mike is playing a prank nearby. When nobody answers her, she bravely opens the door and looks into the other room. Here's what she finds.
What? Nuh-uh. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Something has dumped all of her possessions onto the floor in a quick fit of rage. While it's possible that she could have done this herself, it's also quite possible that this really was a paranormal encounter, especially when you consider that fires, missing things, and other strange happenings have become the norm over the years at this hotel, which was also built over the famous Alamo battle site. Some urban explorations go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly, and this is one of them. Published to YouTube by Chris Hopkins in June of 2020, while exploring an abandoned naval base on a cold, windy night. As soon as Chris and his crew walked into this building, They heard a loud bang right beside them. Still, they decided to explore the rest of the base, no harm done, until they were getting ready to leave. After walking through the woods, as they were squeezing through a hole in the fence to get to their car, they heard what Chris describes as a Bigfoot or a ghost chasing after them. He says it again sounded like it was right next to them. The demonic roar is heard at least 2 more times after they get through the fence. Chris says they were running so fast that his friend lost his phone in the escape. Of course, other than the creature with big feet, there are other theories. Some think the roar came from a wild pig or a goat man, and some agree that it does indeed sound demonic. Any other ideas? Those ones already have me terrified. Okay, so this isn't a video per se, but it was too eerie to pass up. This was recorded around 10 years ago in a home in Philadelphia. The family kept hearing noises coming from the basement, so they decided to hire a paranormal team who placed a recorder down there and waited. Nothing happened for 3 days, and then at 3:12 a.m. they recorded this. The horrible recording continues to go on and on, seemingly forever. No video evidence was ever produced, but these possibly paranormal screams will continue to live on YouTube for years to come. Empty roads at night can be quite sinister, especially when this happens. Posted to TikTok, Leslie Alexis writes that she and her sister went out to get ices at 2:30 in the morning. When they arrived at the first stoplight on the way out of their neighborhood, it was green, but the white truck waiting at the light didn't budge. The pair beeped, but it still didn't move. They eventually went around. They went and got their ices and returned home. On their way back, the car was still sitting at the light. They passed it, pulled a U-turn, and drove by again, trying to see if there was anyone inside, but the windows were too tinted. Some in the comments were worried the driver might have had a medical emergency. Others think that they just fell asleep or passed out at the wheel. In part 2 of the video series, Leslie explains that they returned home and told their mom, and she drove them back to the stoplight. Once there, the car was gone. It was 3 a.m. Coincidence? Maybe, but it makes you wonder what exactly happened here. The last thing you'd want to see in a mall closed at night is a kid, or even worse, a child ghost. That's what a mall security guard in Brazil purportedly recorded at 2:30 a.m. The video was later submitted to Reddit. In the clip, you can see a small figure moving up what appears to be an escalator at a distance. What an escalator would be doing on at 2:30 a.m. I'm not sure. When the security guard races over to the escalator, the camera pans up, but there's no one in sight. It's also unclear if the escalator is still moving. Then it pans around, and behind him in the darkness, you can see a child figure in white skipping across the linoleum. BNRP in the comments translates the Portuguese. According to him, the security guard says, "See, what did I tell you? Look at her there. This is the second time I see her this week. I had to film this to show people because nobody believes me when I tell them. Don't know about you, but I believe him now." The Menjer Hotel in San Antonio, Texas, claims to be one of the most haunted areas in the entire state, and there are plenty of videos to back up this statement. One of these videos involves a brother and sister who both suddenly get a strange feeling from the building and decide to start recording. They are exploring a very small and cramped area of the hotel. As they are discussing the possibilities out loud, the woman suddenly announces that she is extremely uncomfortable. You can't see it very well at first, but soon the camera zooms in and reveals 3 deep scratches along the woman's bare shoulder. They look fresh and sting badly. She says that she was simply sitting on the steps for just one moment, and the jagged marks appeared as soon as she stood up. Judging from this video, it looks as though she may have been literally cut by an angry ghost. When you enter an abandoned building, you don't expect to find a fully functioning service room inside, but that's what YouTuber Shivers found in February of 2018. The footage begins at the top of a tower in an industrial-looking area. He then enters a building. The place is obviously abandoned, with no soul in sight, an empty auditorium, a lonely ping pong table, and then descending to the cold, dark basement, which is where he finds the service room in question. Picking up the phone, although he doesn't hear a dial tone, he does receive the tone indicating the phone has been disconnected. Also inside are loads of hardware and servers, blinking lights flashing and all. Next, he happens upon an old computer, which he plugs in. Pushing the button on the tower, the modem turns on. Windows 95 appears, then a black screen with code. A username password screen appears. After attempting to enter something, Shivers is told by his live streamers to hit cancel, which he does. He is then allowed to enter. After exploring the computer's contents for a bit, Shivers decides to unplug the computer and gets out of there, muttering about a potential secret government project. Was Shivers on the right track? Did he just tap into something top secret? I guess we will never know what were on those computers, unless Shivers decides to go back and investigate further. This doll is supposedly 100 years old and should have no way of moving by itself. Its owner has been feeling suspicious that it could be haunted, so they sat it on a chair in front of a camera and recorded it for 24 hours. Nothing happens for a while, but then if this was fake, then a fishing line should show up against the dark background. I'd definitely like to hear your thoughts on how this could be faked, or if you believe it's real. Snow sport enthusiasts live on the edge, knowing that doing so comes at a cost. They're risking their lives for the rush. This video is one example of the levels they'll go for the sport. A video from March of 2011 shows skier Chris Bilbao from Portland, Oregon, speeding down a snow-capped mountain in British Columbia. With a video camera strapped to his chest, Chris makes his way down the mountain when an avalanche decides he's not going to make it very far. As the surface of the snow cracks, Chris's skis are pulled out from under him, and the rush of snow blankets over top. Right before being buried alive in snow, you can hear Chris exclaim as the camera continues to roll. Then all you can see is white. You can also hear the muffled sounds of Chris. A frenzied noise indicates he's trying to dig himself out of the snow, or someone is trying to dig his way in. Then above him, finally, you see the light. His friends are digging him out of the avalanche with a shovel. There's probably no more welcome sight in the world than this. The avalanche in question did not overcome him entirely, and Chris said it was like being in the ocean. Although the rescue was quick considering the circumstances, that must have been a long 8 minutes under the blanket of snow. In situations like these, preparation can be the difference between life or passing on. A YouTuber named Nugget Noggin is exploring an old abandoned home one evening somewhere in the deep south. He's been here only once before, and it gave him such a strange and foreboding feeling that he couldn't take it anymore and he had to leave. Now he's mustered up enough courage to come back and check out the rest of the house. He wants to get up to the second floor.
Alright, I got this little door here to keep the air from rising up, I reckon. I don't know. Could be somebody up there. Oh man, somebody's standing on it. Because I sure can't lift it up.
Much to his dismay, he finds a door has been laid over the top of the stairway so that nobody can get through. He tries to push on the horizontal door. One moment, it feels as if a heavy force is standing on top of it, and the next moment, the weight is suddenly gone, and Nugget Noggin can get upstairs. Some rooms give him the same weird feeling that made him flee before. He remembers that the front door was kicked in. Possibly someone broke in. Maybe a family was living here long ago and things did not end well for them.
Won't be able to sleep. Look, there's a light on in there. That's odd. There's a mirror. You know what time it is.
Nugget Noggin doesn't find much else and leaves. When he's reviewing the footage, however, he does notice what could be the face of a small girl. Take a look at this picture and tell me if it looks like anything paranormal to you. Ever caught something in a video that freaks you out beyond measure? Joey Shade did in 2018. Shade writes, I put my phone down on record to see what had been taking things out of my garage. I noticed a second video I did not record that showed something move the phone closer to the door, but saw what looks like a hand of some sort. Shade begs viewers to tell him what this freaky fingered creature is. It's hard to tell, but whatever that thing is, I think it's time to move. Whatever the case may be, that hand certainly looks menacing to say the least. Security cameras often capture things we'd rather not see. This footage, posted by Redditor jhood3119, reveals a creepy looking creature ambling in the vicinity of this upstate New York security camera. A friend installed a security camera because his dog kept freaking out for no reason, J-Hood writes. And it seems the dog was freaking out for a reason. As you can see, a figure passes into view, moving strangely and seemingly wearing a headlamp and holding a flashlight. But then halfway across the snow-packed yard, the figure completely vanishes, although a flashlight beam still appears at the right side of the screen. What could this be? Well, some in the comments of this thread consider the possibility of the supernatural, saying the figure's strange walking and eye shine is creepy and inhuman. But others are not having it. Human or paranormal, what do you think? Based on the dog's reaction, there's definitely something there. If you've been watching scary countdowns for a while, then you've probably come across this video at some point. What other channels don't bother to tell you is that there's an additional 2 months worth of evidence to analyze. But first, let me start with this viral video of their fateful first encounter. On May 3rd, 2011, a strange man who they've never seen before randomly stands outside of the apartment of a YouTuber named Andrew J. Neese. Andrew and his girlfriend do what most people would do and dial for help. Here's the original phone call with the authorities. Tell me if you think it's real.
And he's just like looking up at the window. He's been there for about 30 minutes now. Yeah, male, maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 30, I guess? I can't tell.
There's never an actual voice on the other end, which makes me suspect it could be staged, and I thought 911 operators were trained to stay on the line until police come. That's not what happens here.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's where most channels leave off, but this is actually just the beginning. What most people don't know is that there's another 911 phone call made by his girlfriend the very next night on May 4th to anyone who has ever worked in emergency response. Tell me if this second phone call sounds legit, or if they're just pretending to talk to someone.
I'd really like you to do something about it. Yeah, my boyfriend already made a report. We're at there's a parking lot behind our house. Yeah, 6:50. Okay, thanks.
Another night passes, and the figure returns, silent and wide-eyed as ever. Andrew gets upset enough to say something this time, and look what happens to the camera when he does.
Hey. Hey.
I don't know what's going on.
A red flash occurs at 58 seconds, a brief electronic disturbance possibly induced by an intensive wave of emotions, perhaps a telekinetic reaction to getting yelled at. I only say this because the exact same curious red flash happened 6 days later on May 12th, except this time, their stalker is not even there. They simply sense him and then the flash appears.
He's not even there!
Alright.
And by June 17th, it's gotten to the point where Andrew's motion sensor camera keeps zooming in on a figure that simply isn't there. The equipment is having trouble focusing. In other words, on the very same spot where their not-so-secret admirer had stood for over a month straight. So is Andrew manually making it go out of focus, or is there an invisible phantom figure really standing there like he says? But I'm getting way ahead of myself by mentioning the events of June. That's a particularly bad month for them, and we still aren't done talking about May 8th to be exact, when they first started to suspect the perpetrator could be supernatural.
Hey, look, he's throwing the window.
His arms are at his sides, and yet something pings off the window.
I don't even see him throwing anything.
Oh my god, but how is he doing that?
And sure enough, there's another odd flash at 1 minute and 6 seconds, like something's feeding off the peak of their fear, growing stronger. No longer is the watcher satisfied with leering at them from the corner. He now wants inside. A full month of harassment accumulates in scraps of paper, all saying the same word, hello. Apparently, this is some form of psychotic social interaction for whoever's doing this. A creepy game they are just beginning to play. Time only makes the man grow bolder. By June 20th, the tapping is all over their windows. It's the sound of someone's finger against glass, and yet there's no silhouette to be seen. Either they are behind the couch tapping, or they're somehow making this noise from the alley outside. Left on the window is a picture of this creepy smiling face with X'd out eyes. Only someone who's really into the idea of tormenting two totally innocent people would bother drawing this, let alone deliver it in person. Little does Andrew or his girlfriend know they are less than 1 day from seeing him up close for themselves. On June 22nd, there's more tapping, which is not even that unusual by this point. And so Andrew's girlfriend goes to the window thinking that no one is there. She throws open the blinds, still recording for evidence, and waiting for her is the watcher himself, closer than he has ever been before. It's hard to see, but at 47 seconds he's holding an illustration of the same grisly face as before, X'd out eyes, this time with a message that says hello in the same handwriting as the scrap notes left by their door. I doubt he just wants to only say hello for much longer. Soon he will probably be saying goodbye to them, probably moments before he ends their lives. So if he's standing outside of the house in May and outside of their window by June, then he will probably be standing somewhere inside their house by July. Thankfully, they managed to move out before my theory gets put to the test. Now in a different location with iron bars, they finally feel safe for the first time in months, but their hopes of a peaceful life are shattered by the 1st of July when a familiar figure slides in. Something's off about this extra blurry entrance. He doesn't walk into frame so much as simply materializes. And come to think of it, I've never actually seen him move before. Then when it's time to leave, he vanishes, leaving only a faint trace as he walks. It could be the camera, or it could be editing, or it could be an actual ghost, in which case this may have been the last video, but I doubt it was their final encounter. Annie Bennett and her boyfriend move into this old farmhouse 2.5 years ago, and have been experiencing a lot of strange happenings ever since, particularly in this blue dining room. The instruments tend to play by themselves over the years, but for some reason this piano has been getting all of the attention lately, so it's where they decide to set up the camera. Hardly anything at all happens in part 1, which is 10 minutes long and slow enough to elicit some angry comments from people too impatient to get all the way through. But then there's some good moments that I want to point out, like how at 4 minutes and 17 seconds there's a strange light on the wall for absolutely no reason. It doesn't look like a laser pointer and it never happens again. Then the clock strikes 2:19 a.m. and mysteriously pops open. I see no string and no other way for them to have done this, but maybe you do. I suppose now is a more appropriate time to share more about the history of this farmhouse. There used to be an old woman who lived here all by herself. They say at 2:19 in the morning was the exact moment when she is said to have passed on. She was said to have been musically gifted. At 2:19 is also where the Spencer piano seemingly plays by itself. So this high note is conveniently coming from a key that's not even on camera. Obviously Annie or her boyfriend have to be sitting off to the side, or at least that's what I thought until I saw this next part. Okay, so that's not supposed to happen. I'm thinking that maybe the piano wires are worn out and old, which can sometimes cause a note to play by itself, but I don't think that's why, because nothing like this happened for a full 10 minutes prior. This tray and clock move at the same time. One of them could have pulled the tray by the corner that's off camera, sure, but the way the clocks open is something I can't explain. And as the night wears on, the spirit becomes stronger, able to play more. Please tell me this piano is one of the old-fashioned types that can play by itself, otherwise I have absolutely no idea how this is possible. And even if it can play by itself, I've never seen a piano that can do what it does at 5 minutes and 49 seconds. Self-playing? Maybe. Self-shutting? No way. I guess Annie could have slammed the lid shut while off camera, but after this reflection fades away like someone is sitting down, I can safely say I've officially run out of rational explanations and can only assume this to be paranormal. And I don't care if someone is sitting off camera or not, there's no way for them to play a piano with the lid on. I can't even explain half of these paranormal occurrences, so I have to conclude that this farmhouse is almost definitely haunted by someone who refuses to accept that they've passed on. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.